Hi, great
Hi.
to see you. Wonderful to see you. Yeah, I've watched your interviews, but it's just great. It's different, because
Yeah.
you're live. So.
Thanks for going through this.
Oh, I believe me, it is my pleasure, and I feel honored that you asked me. It was just not good when you first asked me because I was on Zoom way too much, and I was like, I can't do this and give you my full attention. So I'm
Yeah,
here
I
now.
get it. I've probably had your voice in my head since I was like 8, maybe.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is truly remarkable that when I hear that, it really is, as an actor, unless you're constantly out there or you're constantly getting that feedback, you have no idea. I mean, I had no idea. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I could just jump around then with your career
Sure.
and everything.
Sure, sure, sure. Does my voice sound any different to you than what you're used to hearing? Or do I sound like myself?
It sounds the same.
After all these years, that's pretty amazing. Yeah. Yeah, jump around, sweetie. Jump around.
So professionally was your first credit in Gallagher Goes West.
Oh my God, you found that? How did you find that? Is there a copy of it? Can we find it? I was a little, do you know what I did in that? It was a little girl with her father, and I was looking over the crowd of people at a dead man in the middle of it was a Western, so it was in the middle of the road or the town, I guess, on Main Street. And it was just a moment. And I don't forget that moment. I forget a lot of things, Chris. So you're going to have to forgive me in the course of all this because I will forget. And I'm really sorry. But that is a memory as a little kid. And I don't remember very many childhood memories, but I remember going, I think I did that right. You know what I mean? I was very proud of myself as a little kid. And I can't believe how did you find that?
It was in the like one other interview that you've done.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I don't remember doing that. See what I mean? I don't remember. I'm sorry. Okay. I thought it was like, wow, it's out there. And I would love to get a copy of it, obviously. It would be fun, but it's not available, I don't think. So, yeah.
Do you know if that was technically how you got into SAG too then, or do you have a special story for that?
No, I was being exploited by the director who was my father. Yeah, he totally exploited me regularly, actually, on a couple of other occasions. I think I was in Man from Uncle also, and not credited, but bless his heart. Um, no, no, my first professional job was I was Taft-Hartley'd on White Lightning with Burt Reynolds. That was my
Okay.
first. Yeah, yeah. So, and then from there on, to be honest with you, I don't know what I did after that. That then got me into. I mean, I paid for SAG right away, but then I don't know what my first SAG job was after that. And I don't think credits on IMDb are correct. So just so you know. Yeah,
Well,
they're not gospel. Pardon me.
who do you think, in terms of like on live action actors that you've worked with, who do you think the most starstruck you've been is if you do get starstruck?
I tend not to be. My father was very starstruck, and it embarrassed me when I was young because here he is, a director. But as the saying goes, you can take the boy out of New Jersey, but you can't take the Jersey out of the boy. And he was so New Jersey where it's like, all the way across the country, wanting to go to Hollywood and then meeting these stars. And that was the humbleness about him. I think we were jaded, I'll be honest, as young kids, where it didn't mean as much to us. However, respecting their work, definitely. And there was a handful of actors that I was fortunate enough to work with and I respected their work. But starstruck, I think isn't that funny? Oh my gosh, Chris, let me think about that just for a second because, oh, this is going to sound really funny. I had a, I had three scenarios happen where I met Kiefer Sutherland. And when I first met him, I was shooting pool in a club that he was at. And I was so like enamored by him. He had just finished, or he was in the middle of doing 24, the series 24. And I
Yeah,
loved that series. And there was just something about him that I really liked. And I think I liked him before that as well. But anyway, and then I saw him again, and I saw him, so it excited me. I think that was probably what it was. I got really excited. I'm like, oh, that's good for something again. So I think that sticks in my mind. I met Elizabeth Taylor, and she was lovely, but I was never like necessarily a big fan of hers. So it didn't strike me as I'm sure it would a lot of people, to meet Elizabeth Taylor. So, but I just loved meeting these people. George Carlin, I met George Carlin. He was so delightful. And it's always nice when they are, when they're not delightful. Um, which I have those kind of stories that are no fun, but that's when you go, gosh, too bad, because you liked their work,
right.
and you want them to be also good people. So, but anyway, is that answer?
Yeah. Oh, when you were pursuing live action more back then, did you get the opportunity to audition for anything that became like really iconic?
Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I auditioned for the same role that Jennifer Jason Leigh got. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had a terrible agent at the time, and she misled me, and it caused a funky audition. But the fact that I was considered at all was really, really, a feather in my cap that way. Yeah. But I would say, yeah, that probably is it. I did audition for a series that didn't really take off. It's called Firefox, and it was 5 callbacks for that television series to be one of the leads in it. And so 5 callbacks is also a feather in my cap, because then obviously I'm doing something right. And then they went with a real New Yorker. So I had to do a New York accent. So that was, it was great. They thought I was from New York, which was great. Yeah. Yeah, that's all.
And I
Mhm.
know that in terms of voiceover, that kind of just accidentally ended up happening for you.
Yeah, it did. It did in a way. As much as I may have dabbled a little in some fashion, and also my father put me behind the microphone, matching an Irish girl in a movie. Um, as far as pursuing it, uh, I don't know if this name has come across all of your history and exploration, but his name is Hank Kroll, Hank Kroll
No.
Jr. Okay, a mega voice talent, and a very good. He was a boyfriend for a while, but a very good friend. He's just a sweetheart, and he recognized that I had skill in that world, even though I was pursuing on camera or on stage, a lot of on stage, and he could do all three as well. But he said, why don't we go back to college? We went to junior college and take radio broadcasting and commercial acting class. And I had never done either one of those. He could do DJ work. He could do a lot of work. He was quite talented. But so in that class, and you may know this, but I don't know, because I don't know what I've said in interviews, but in that class, of the commercial broadcasting class, the teacher kept hearing me with the copy, and then she says, can I talk to you after class? And she said, I have somebody who's looking for a dubber for Chinese films, Jackie Chan films. So yeah, so that then led to somebody said, Leah would be good for that Japanese, blah, 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 and it snowballed from there. Yeah. But then that same guy, Hank, and I created Off the Walla, which was a loop group. And then we created the loop group thing. And then I got into that because of my father, when there was a particular loop group coordinator, who didn't want to hire me. Nepotism was not her favorite thing. And frankly, it was very uncomfortable for me. But, it was all over Hollywood. Nepotism is all over Hollywood. That I did what I took my father's lead on that, but it was very uncomfortable because of somebody who's resents it, and they resented it. So then my father says, well, form your own group. And so we did. We formed our own group, and that's when I had Off the Walla and hired a lot of the actors that you've had interviews with, as well as just we hired each other, in each other's groups. So yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember what your first character part in an anime would have been?
In anime,
Yeah.
you probably would know that better than I. Could it be Lupin 3 or the third or whatever?
Oh yeah.
I think it could have been that. Nothing substantial, I don't believe. It's really interesting because I'm doing this convention on this weekend, getting back into it for the first time. I decided to look up my characters so I know what the hell I'm doing, because some of them don't stand out for me, like the obvious ones. And I thought, okay, what did I do in that? And when I look up any one of these that I look up my character, I'm finding that some other actor did it, and it's almost like I've been miscredited. I've been given something that I really didn't do. So I'm having a difficult time with a couple of them. But my most memorable, that feels like I really kicked things off, believe it or not, was Nanami in El Hazard.
Right.
That feels like the first substantial role. So consequently, all the other stuff was just practice. That's the way I interpret it for myself. But so yeah.
Well, I know right before that was anime movie that still has a pretty big following was Black Magic M66.
Was Black Magic before Nanami? Oh gosh, it was, right?
Like around the same time though, but yeah.
Around the same time. Okay. I loved Black Magic. I loved doing Sybil. That was too wonderfully fun and all over the place, and just I could totally use my skill set. It was great. Yeah. Yeah. Not very many people mention it, Chris. It's really interesting. I had somebody from Australia ask me about it, and it just delighted me. They brought it up, and they're in Australia. So yeah, yeah, Sybil, right. She very well might have been before. I don't know. I feel like I did Nanami. I don't know. Yeah. The dates might be wrong on things. I've noticed that. Yeah.
Well, and did you know, maybe it wasn't until later, but did you have any kind of sense when the first time that you played Chun-Li that was going to be like a huge thing?
Clueless. I mean, the whole time I was doing any anime for the most part, until a little bit later, obviously, when things started a little click. But in the very beginning, it was just fun, and it felt so underground, and nobody really knew about it very much. And it was just, a particular genre of animation that not very many people talked about. And so yeah, it was fun, and you made a buck, and and you carried on to the next one, and it snowballed again from there. So I had no idea. I just loved playing her, though. I mean, come on. Yeah. Yeah. And now there's like 5 other Chun-Li voices, right? I mean, there's a lot of them.
Yep.
Yeah. 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 No, but I liked her very much. She was fun. She was fun. Yeah.
Does anything, if you've gone over to like look at the whole fight scene with her and Vega in the first movie, does like any memory come back?
Oh yeah. That was killer. And I'll tell you something, a lot of that was in one take,
Oh
because
wow.
and at that time, if I'm not mistaken, pretty sure we did not have beeps. We didn't
Oh,
have the beeps. You've heard that before, right? We had no beeps, and it was all time code and match picture. And so what would happen is, I think it was Kevin Seymour, and he said, okay, so there's this really big fight sequence, go. And so I just sort of followed her. Sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it doesn't. And of course we stop to make sure I get like spinning bird kick and things like that are like, spot on. But the efforts and the fights themselves, a lot of that is without beeps and without break. You just go right through it, because it has a much more organic feel to it, and you're in the momentum of it, as opposed to stopping and starting and stopping and starting, which is almost harder for me. I prefer to just plow through, and maybe you pick up something that didn't work, but for the most part, yeah. When I blast him at the end with the fast kick at the end, I'll never forget doing that. Yeah. That was kick-ass. Yeah. That was kick-ass.
Were you and Richard Cancino friends too?
Yeah, I mean, I directed Richard Cancino in Trigun.
Yep.
Oh, I love Richard Cancino. He's great, and his work is. I love his voice. I love the way he works. He's great. He's fabulous. Yeah, yeah. He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you've seen any of the fan reception, even still to this day, of that first Street Fighter movie, but your everyone just lauds your performance in that still.
In Trigun?
Oh,
No.
and well, both, but like in the
Oh,
in the Street Fighter movie too.
oh, Street Fighter 2. Oh, okay. I didn't hear you. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What did you ask me? I'm sorry.
Oh no, people just even still to this day, like there's such a huge fan following to your performance in that movie.
Those perform that performance, yeah. And is it because of the Vega fight, do you think?
I think
Think that,
so, yeah.
yeah. I love doing that. I sometimes get chills thinking about doing it because it was pretty intense. Yeah, pretty intense, but so enjoyable. I love doing fight sequences, very much so. Yeah. So, yeah, I would even do it again. If they ever ask, well, let's just do this again. Okay. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Well, how'd you feel about when you played Chun-Li in the TV series?
Yeah, I mean it had a different feel about it, definitely. That's fine, I think it didn't seem to be as challenging, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember every single episode. How many episodes were there?
29.
Yeah, wow. And I don't remember that well. Wow. I thought Trigun was big with 26. Um, yeah. I don't know. It's not as memorable for me. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. What do you think about it? How do you feel about the difference?
It's still very good and like it still has very good fight scenes in it, but I just think with how big the Street Fighter movie was at the time and even now that I think that's just what stands out to people more.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. No, she's
Was it?
cool. That seems to be, sorry, that just seems to be the name though, when anybody who meets me and they're a parent of a child who knows anime, and then they say, "Oh, what have you been in?" And then I tell them I mentioned Chun-Li, I mentioned, Street Fighter, I mentioned Trigun, so forth, so forth. A couple little things. And then they report back to their kid, and the kid goes, "She was Chun-Li and Street Fighter." They get all hysterical. So it definitely holds weight to this day.
Well,
Yeah.
I was about to ask, was it more difficult for you to play more comedic characters opposed to serious?
No, I would say it's equal. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I do. I appreciate both. And as an actress, I love to do both on stage, camera. I love both. Yeah, equally. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good question. So do you feel that some people might answer one or the other?
Yeah, it's usually one of the things I always ask.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great question. Yeah, no, I do. I like to, and if anything, I would prefer to do both, not be, always doing the same thing. Yeah.
Well, who do
Yeah.
you, in terms of the, you know, big central characters that you've played in anime, who do you think that you personally relate the most to?
Well, I think that there always is there's a little something in every single character that I can grasp onto or that I can identify with, but a whole character, because anime is pretty over the top. In the sense of like the characters, I just feel like I don't know if there's anyone that's really like me. I think I try and get whatever I can that's the closest to the character, but I'm always tapping into something that's me. So I don't think there's one character. There might be some characters that I don't identify with as well when I did them, but I full identification, I don't know. Isn't that funny? I like being tough. I do. I'm Italian and Greek and I'm only 5 feet tall. I gotta be tough. So I like being tough. So the Sybils and the, and the Chun-Lis and I love it, yeah, I think I the tougher ones probably. I got a lot of fight in me. So yeah, yeah.
Well, I know that you said before that you have the most affinity with Dorothy.
Mm. And that's because, well, first of all, I think her one-liners are fantastic. You
Great.
know, I love one-liners. And um because she was so different than all the other characters I played, because she was she had this, my voice is melodious, and it was very difficult for me at first to find how to play her, without sounding like a robot, because I would normally not be cast in a role like that. And that was the beauty of Kevin Seymour to cast me in that. I was so thankful because it gave me that opportunity to explore that where I hadn't been able to anywhere else. Um, so that I remember. So yes, every time I think about a role that I would again love to play again, or just had a really cool time. It was cool. It was just had this coolness of she's cool. She's very cool. And I was, yeah, it was just I liked her on so many levels. And it was a challenge, which I love challenges, to play her. Yeah, yeah. Probably more than any of the other ones in that regard. Yeah.
What about the darkest headspace you've had to go?
If I went into some dark space with any character, it probably didn't, I don't hang on to that stuff very well. So I don't, so the memory is not there, or it wasn't substantial enough. I think you might even know better of what might have been very dark for me to play, but I think all of my main characters don't really go into a dark space that I can think of. Yeah. I mean, Shion, when she was a little girl, particularly, but I think there's other parts of Shion. I just can't remember it. And when you do a game, I don't have the visual when I'm doing the game. So I don't have as much memory as I do with the stuff that I dubbed. And you're doing all this work and they guide you, they direct you, and they tell you what to do, and you do it. And then you move on and you move on. And there's so many lines. But when I revisited Shion, I found a wonderful clip, and I forgot before that I had played her when she was young, and that was very emotional. And I went, oh my God, that's right, they asked if I could play her young as well, but I didn't remember that. It's very emotional. And um that was nice to see, but dark, I don't know, I don't think so. You know of a dark thing that I have done that's really dark, do you think?
Yeah, I mean it's not a main character, but I know that your character in Serial Experiments Lane killed herself.
Yes, yes. Yes, that was just sad. That was very, and again, I would just move on and forget about it. You know what I mean? And plus I directed it. So that has a different kind of dynamic too. But yeah, yeah, sad.
Was there much else that stands out with Shion for Xenosaga?
Well, you know what I was challenged with? I was always challenged, and I realized the Japanese voices are high and everything, but I always felt like, her voice is like this girl and she's the captain. And so that always I think I was torn by that. I think I would feel like my performance wasn't substantial enough for somebody in her position, even though it was pitch probably accurate. But I was like, God, this is so weird. Because I grew up with, I would never play a part like that, because nobody would cast me in that. They would cast a Sigourney Weaver, you know what I mean? So, or somebody of that stature and the voice and the whole bit. And so here I am. And so I think that stood out for me when I was playing Shion. They go, no, it sounds good. It's perfect. And I'm like, okay, okay, you say so. So, yeah, this is interesting. Mhm.
Well, I think the first voice that instilled your performances in my head was in Dot Hack as Aura.
Oh, Aura, isn't she lovely? Yeah, she really is, right? She's just lovely. Yeah, I was glad they cast me in that. Is it Olivia Hack that played her also? Do
That's
you know?
that's Shion.
Olivia Hack played Shion also. Do you know that Olivia, I did a play in Los Angeles. This, most of this just, of course, takes place in Los Angeles because I'm not there anymore. But I did a play in Los Angeles, and it was a musical of Cinderella, and I played one of the stepdaughters. Step, yeah, stepsisters. Sorry, stepsisters. I was thinking of the mother, the queen, and Mia Heck, Olivia's mother, played the queen. And at that time, she had Olivia, but she was 4 years old backstage, and she hung out with us backstage. And I I related to Olivia. We had so much fun, chit-chatting, talking. But the thing about Olivia that's so brilliant, she knew at 4 years old, she knew every single line in the play and every single song at
Oh,
4 years old. Pretty remarkable. So then all these years go by. I didn't see, I think I saw Mia once or twice or something like that. But all these years go by, and then somebody had said, "You didn't play Shion." I go, "Well, I didn't know it was being done." And she goes, I said, "Who played her?" And she mentioned Olivia Heck, and I went, "What?" You know what I mean? It was so wild. What are the chances of that? So it was so great. We haven't been in touch with each other or anything like that because she didn't know me. I knew her. Maybe she'd remember me. I mean, her memory is obviously brilliant, at 4, but nonetheless, I thought that was kind of a fun little circle um, of life or business or work or whatever. So yeah. Yeah. So I'm sorry, I sidetracked. Oh, Shion. Yeah, I answered that too. Where were you, Chris?
oh no, it was with the Aura and dot hack.
Oh, Aura. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I confused the name Hack and Heck, and that's why I went to Olivia. Okay. Yeah. I wanted to try and find more footage on her, and I couldn't find anything other than the one little moment. She's quite substantial though, in it, isn't she? She's
Yeah, yeah, in the sense that she's kind of the impetus for everything that happens in that game.
Yeah. I remember doing her, but it's funny I don't, because again, it's a game. And when I don't play the game, I don't really get a sense of my body of work in it. So, hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing more. She's quite lovely. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank
Yeah.
you.
What stands out about Cowboy Bebop?
Well, first of all, that's a cool show. We know it is. It's just cool. But the thing about Judy, I struggled with Judy. I struggled with Judy. It was a very specific performance that Mary Elizabeth, the director, wanted. And because most of the body of my work are not vapid women, and I think there's wonderful actors out there who can do both, who can, be very grounded in some sense of intelligence and have some kind of a brain behind what they're saying, and the vapid characters that they can play. I don't I don't have an easy time with that. And I think as an actress in general. So when this role was given to me, Kevin again, he gave me that. And I went, "Kevin, what? what you doing?" He goes, "No, I think you'd be great." And I went, because he hears the voice, he hears the timbre, he hears what's going on. But the vapidness, I struggled. Mary Elizabeth McGlynn was like very specific, and I was like, okay, I knew intellectually, but it didn't come out organically, maybe because she's not organic. But it was weird. It was a hard one, but then obviously I had fun doing it eventually, but it was a struggle. And when somebody asked me to perform Judy, or do the voice again of Judy, I have to work hard at it. I have to warm up. I have to get myself geared into the whole concept of her, as opposed to just bringing, something off the top of my head. So, yeah, yeah. But I'm glad I did her. It was fun. I'm gonna pour some water. Sorry.
That's okay. I think it was nobody really talks about this show that much, but Handmaid May. I think you directed that too, right?
Yes, and I directed that, and I of course played May. Nobody talks about it. It's kind of a weird show, though, isn't it? It is, don't you think? It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It is, it's weird. I was gonna put her in my little compilation. We might have another compilation that we do, and then I'll put some of those in there. But her voice is obviously in a similar place as a couple of the other things I've done. And I didn't want to be redundant, because I do like diversity. I like the variety that I have in the body of my work. So I didn't, but there are some funny little things that she does. Yeah. What did you think of Handmaid May? Do you have a particular, regardless of what it is? I won't be offended or anything like that, or I don't know. But what did you think of it?
I mean, myself, I'm usually more into serious anime, but I don't know, it's a cute, weird
Yeah.
show.
It is. Oh, a cute, weird show is exactly it. Yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you for wanting the more serious when you look at something like that.
And in between your two characters and gatekeepers, was one of them just given to you afterward, after the first one?
Yeah, I think it was always intended that I would play two characters.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was always that way because they were so diverse. Yeah. Yeah, I love both of those characters. They're fun. They're a lot of fun. They were. I wrote the poetry for Yukino. Yeah.
Oh,
Because what was given to me was the original Japanese translation, but they needed English in 31 syllables. 31? I just went up. Yeah, 31 syllables. So with my classical training, I then approached it with that. So yeah. 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 That was fun. I like doing that.
is there much memory with X, your character in X?
No. No. What is the character's name in X?
I think it's like Terra something. It was 26 episodes.
Why don't I remember X? What did she do? Was her story? What was her deal?
Well, physically, she was another like high school student character, but with long brown hair. She had a really big sword.
Yes. Yes, that sort of rings a bell. Oh, I'm gonna have to look her up. I gotta write that down. Okay. Because I saw that I did, and I'm like, what? X? Yeah. Is that darker? Is that a darker thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's very possible that when we were looking up a lot of the pieces to put into this compilation that I did, an X came into conversation. The person who was helping me look for the pieces said, do you want this? It's on the more dark side. And I think I was like, okay, I had the fighting already and I had the more dark. I kind of wanted to have a little bit of both, So I'll have to do that in the other video, the other compilation. Yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
This was just in another movie, but it was later on, like 2001. Morgan and Oh My Goddess.
Oh yeah. Did Bridget direct that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, I remember working with her, totally remember working with her on it, but I don't remember that performance either. Morgan. What was her story? What was
She
her
was
name?
technically a villain. She did this facade as a high school student, but she transformed into this like really pretty butterfly looking character.
That's great. I like that. Okay, I'll have to look that one up too. This is great. I love this, Chris. Yeah, this is good.
Is that also the same with Cardcaptor Sakura?
Yeah,
That was also just one movie, but
yeah, it was one movie, and I remember the name really well. I remember going in to do it, but I don't remember what I did. Isn't that weird how that happens? What did I do in that one?
you were the character that you played was like the central focus of the movie.
You would remember. Oh my God. there is something to be said about working a lot and going from one job to the next and just being completely fulfilled as an actress, performer, VO artist, you know. And then there's the whole aspect of there's so many that you don't remember. And I can't even imagine some of these currently who have a plethora of work that are currently getting more and more and more. I'm like, how my mind would just, yeah, go crazy. So I'm gonna have to look that one up. What is my character in that one again?
It's called the nothing card because she like Sakura, like the main character of Cardcaptor Sakura, like she captures these cards that represent elements.
Wow, that is no movie at all. Oh my God. Okay, I'll look it up. I'll look it up. That's great.
Well, I know that it would stand out more from directing Perfect Blue.
Oh, Perfect Blue. Yeah. Man, that's dark. That's super dark, scary, like so scary that I didn't want to look at the footage sometimes. I was like, and then, you know, you're thinking about it. It's visuals, you're constantly seeing it. So it was just wow. And I thought Bridget did an incredible job. She was really good. And just a lot of performances in that. I was very lucky. I had some great actors that came in. Yeah. That and then I played the actress, which, you know, that didn't mean much of anything, but it was great just because that was a different role for me to play. That's what I liked about it. Yeah. Yeah. That was scary. That was very scary. I didn't recommend that movie to anybody. Although that's how the Japanese version is on like Netflix or Amazon
Yep.
now. Yeah. So I wonder what makes them decide to do the Japanese only without the English dub. I wonder how they decide to do that, you know, when they put these up with the original. Yeah. I always wondered about that. Yeah.
I was gonna ask vocally. I don't know how many instances there were, but I've kind of found that everybody I talk to has a different answer for when they personally do boy voices.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love doing boy voices. As a matter of fact, I matched a boy's voice in the movie Sweet Nothing in My Ear, and it's on YouTube.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a scene that's on YouTube, and it's the boy in the box. They're like playing a game out on the front lawn, and he's in the box. And what was weird is that I don't know why that one scene. Oh, but probably because they were sort of suggesting that there was the dynamic of the deaf kid um not being allowed to play with them, but then that's the one that I revoiced. I only did one line and he had all these lines bookending it. So you I don't want to tell you what the line is that I did because you have to go in and guess, see if you hear me. But yeah, so I love doing boy voices. Wasn't there a boy I did called like Nubuo or Nobuo or something like that? Does that ring a bell to you? Nu Nobuo, Nobuo. I just remember that, and I don't know what it's from. It's this little kid. He was really cute. Yeah, I love playing little kids. I love playing boys. They're wonderful to play. I just Mona Marshall and with Mona Marshall and Bree Sidal, they always played the boys, so I never got to play the boys. It's really a bummer. Yeah, I would always wanted I was I'll do that, you know, whenever they ask for a boy. Yeah. But Kevin didn't want to cast me that because he had Mona and he had Brienne. So yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
remember what the I'm not sure what the timeline is, but do you remember what the last anime you would have worked on was?
Wow, the last one. Yeah, you would probably know that better than I would. Oh my God. I don't know. What it would have to be that might be right in IMDb, the last, you know, the year that then has an anime credit. Yeah, we'd have to look that one up and see if it's right. But I what I do believe, other than Cowboy Bebop, is that I directed myself till I stopped, I think. Until I stopped, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Sorry. I'm not very good at this, Chris.
Well,
So go
I
ahead,
know
sorry.
that the last Saga game was like 2007 2008.
Oh, wait a second. I went in for dot hack later when they needed me to come back and do something over at Cup of Tea Productions.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was later that I don't know if that was the last, but that was definitely one of the last ones for sure. So it was dot hack. Now Xena Saga, what was that? Did you say about Xena Saga?
That was Shion.
Yeah, but what did you say about Xena Saga that there was?
Oh, just the final game that you played her, that was like 2007, 2008. So I thought maybe that was towards the end of
That would
anime.
have been too. Yeah, that would have been, I think. Well, I was writing and directing in 2006, I believe. 2006 into 7, yeah. And I pretty much stopped. Yeah, I would say 2008. That's probably it. Because then I'm just trying to track where I was, and that makes sense. Don't think I had another job after that. Yeah, yeah.
Was it just because you moved away from LA?
What happened was, as much as I tried, and I got a couple of the shows unionized because I had connection, because I was a union member, but I am fine. I went into financial core so I could do the non-union pieces. But then what I was trying to do is get a lot of the work to become signatory so that they would be unionized. And that worked a little bit, but didn't work all the time. And then some of the shows were already established as non-union, and it became a pain in the ass because sometimes our unions, SAG, just love to make it real difficult for producers. So they were saying, what is the point of doing this? It's backbreaking, the whole thing. But we needed it obviously because it helps with everything from medical benefits to just not being overworked and having breaks and stuff, which I never had a problem with that. All the places I worked were always very nice. And it was not a big deal. But nonetheless, I was feeling guilty as a union member doing non-union work. Then I was getting union work. I worked on a lot of TV shows and movies as a voice actor, dubber, Walla group Walla, and I had my company. So that consumed me. And I wasn't really good at packing my days with all voice work because I was also a teacher. So I was teaching and I had a theater company that I was putting on shows with my students. And it was just, okay, I guess even though as much as I enjoyed anime, it was much easier for me to let that go because it was mostly non-union. So I stayed with the union and I stayed with my students. That became more important to me at the time. And then when there were times where it's like, sure, I'd love to do an anime thing again, I'm finding out that either it's going to Texas and somebody else is doing my parts that I should have played, or that they started casting differently, which just makes sense. The up and coming, the new, fresh voices, that kind of thing. So yeah. I keep thinking that, oh, if I get older, I'll be able to play all these sort of older roles that I never could play before. But my voice is the same. So it makes it, I could play older and I could do that, but it won't be sustained in a whole, I'd have to do it in small parts. Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe when I'm 80.
Oh, what inspired you to start doing cons again?
Well, the persistent way of celeb works. They contacted me. Yeah, they contacted me and went, we did this and that. Also, when handful of years ago, which sort of got the ball rolling in my head or whatever, it kind of spurred this thought of doing it. Was I have a dear friend at the time, particularly knew him, one of my mom's old friends named Alan Oppenheimer. And he's like in his 90s now, but he was in his 80s and part of his 90s. And Celebworks had him and he was raving about it. And I went, oh my God, if he's doing this, because I know what kind of a guy he is, he wouldn't do something like that unless it was top notch. So that's when it came to me and I looked everybody up and I went, oh my God, these are all my friends doing this, so I finally said that I'm not going to fly ever again unless somebody pays me, and they're paying me. So I couldn't say no. And I thought, yeah, let's give it a go. Let's see what happens, you know? So yeah, my first one is this weekend. Yeah.
Which state?
It's Texas. It's called
Okay.
Mocha Fest. And it's in San Antonio. Yeah. So I'm supposed to be a very, very big, oh, yes, Texas is big open space. You know, looks like a carnival and a flea market in one, but I don't know what it's going to look like for anime, for the anime world. It's all anime. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Oh, and they also have those dragons. You know, when the guys get into those dragons, the Chinese dragons, and
Oh yeah.
they do that whole thing and they undulate and do all that stuff. They have those apparently. I saw them on the website. So that should be fun. I saw them in Los Angeles one time. Very cool. Yeah.
Did you only do like a handful of cons prior to this?
Yeah, I did a very, very long time ago. Kevin and Utaka invited me to the Long Beach one, the very first one
Okay.
I went to. And that was just doing it out of the kindness of my heart. If there was no money involved. It was, you know, that's the way they did it back then, maybe. I don't know, or I was stupid. I don't know. But so that was one. And then I did one up here in like, I mean, when I say up here, I'm in the northern part of you know, the state, northwest. And I think it was in the Seattle world.
Oh,
And
soccer con. Yeah.
yeah. And again, I don't even think I got paid for that. It was weird. Maybe I got a little bit. And then I was introduced to somebody who got me booked in a space con in Houston. And then I did one in San Diego. So there's,
Okay.
see, on one hand, you can count how many cons I've been to. And I'm pretty sure that was it. Yeah. Yeah. And San Diego one was fun. That was nice. I like that one. Yeah. Mm.
It sounds like too that I mean, since you've mentioned it in our conversation, that you would come back to do anime if it was an option.
Yeah, if everything played in, it came into place nicely, you know, without it being a big old deal or struggle or fighting for something or whatever. It would be more, less I was fighting in it. But yeah, I would, if somebody, you know, wanted me to do something like that, I probably would. I'd like to see, you know, how it felt to do. I'm, you know, look, I'm more stage than I am anything else. So when it came to voiceover work, even I was still always gravitating to the stage. It was theater, theater, theater. I grew up theater, 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 even though my father, film director, my mother, you know, was theater, theater. So if two people came to me at the same time and one was for a voice work anime and one was for the theater and it was all, they were two perfect, I probably would go to the theater. Yeah, I would, to be honest. Yeah.
Are you still friends with people like Julie, Madalena, and Wendy? And
Yeah, I mean, everyone's Wendy and I have the same birthday, so
okay,
yeah, we call each other birthday twins, and we will email each other then, and that's it. Um, and then Bridget and I definitely we connect now and then. Um, I'm trying to think of it's not that I wouldn't be able to connect with them, you know, but Michelle Ruff and I, when we were doing voiceover work together, not anime, but we're doing the looping, we hung out a lot with, you know, with each other, with a group of people or what have you. I'm trying to think who, isn't that funny? I don't know, Chris. I feel like I'm blank, but I feel like that shouldn't be the case. Bill Timoney, who also did the voice of the Black Cat, he's credited as doing the voice of the Black Cat because he came in and he did multiple voices. And when you finish your day of the things that you have done like that, you write down on your invoice, you write down the characters you played. And what happened was he came in, and this is what I don't mind I don't mind sharing credit with him because the cat, some cat came by in the scene that he was in. I go, oh, Bill, will you grab that cat? Thinking that it was only there once, right? So then another time he came in I think he did a couple of voice, whatever. The cat was there again. And then, but I grabbed the cat whenever it was there. But as the director and Millie, I would never write that on the invoice that I played the black cat because if anything, it was just, yeah. So now when I see how adorable the black cat really is and people liked it, that's why I also take credit for it. But I think he should take full credit. I mean, he should take credit as well with signing or anything like that. Incorporate the black cat into any of his work. If he does conventions, I don't know if he does conventions.
I've talked to him. I think he does. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to him. We touched base a while back about it because I said, hey, I'm also the black cat. So yeah. So Bill Timoney, definitely. We've been off and on in touch with each other. There's a lot of off and on, yeah. But I can't think of anybody else right now particularly, but I'm sure there is. They're out there, So
Well, is there because I asked this to other people relatively recently too, but is there any tribute memory you have for a Felice Sampler?
oh gosh, she's so lovely, isn't she? Or she was. What a great spirit. Just a joy to work with her. I mean, just literally a joy always, no matter what. So we had a lot of fun that way as far as work, but and I think one time there was a gathering, she may have had the gathering or something and I was there, but no, just a wonderful person to be around and a joy talent wise too, So I was shocked when I heard about her. Yeah, I did not know. I did not know it because I was away. I was up north and I didn't, yeah, I wasn't on top of that before it happened. So it came to me as a big shock. Yeah.
You know Michael Lindsay very well.
Yeah, Michael Lindsay. Oh my God, he's so delightful. Where is he? Or is he? Is he okay?
He passed a while ago.
Yes. See, I like to forget those things. I like to keep them alive. But yes, I did hear of that. What did he die of again?
I don't know, but he was really young. He was only 56.
Oh yeah, no, he was very young. And oh, I know there's a lot of loss, a lot of really wonderful people that we've lost. Wonderful people. So it's very sad in the voiceover community. Yeah, he was a delightful, funny guy. He was funny. Yeah. When did you start running interviews, podcast and interview?
4 years ago. Um, the
Mm,
first the first Los Angeles based voice actor I did was Wendy. Um,
okay. And it was COVID or no?
yeah, it was when COVID shut everything down.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Because I was going to say, I don't remember when Michael died, but you wouldn't have been able to interview him, would you? Or did you? No.
No, well, it was interesting because before I started doing this, I was friends with a lot of the community on Facebook, and
Mhm.
like there'd be like happy birthday interactions, and that would be at least something.
Right.
So I had been friends with him on Facebook too, and he had said happy birthday to me a few times. But yeah, I mean, which is nice.
No, he's a good guy. He was a good guy. Fun. Excuse me. Fun to direct. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, my final question with interviews is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
Ah, okay. Well, that I was a good friend and dependable and reliable. That I respected all things nature and people of all ages. That as a teacher, my students take with them, even if it's just a kernel of knowledge, that helps them and gives them a sense of pride and skill in their work. And as an actor, that made people, I moved people, and that I brought them joy. And I would say that I put a smile on people's faces and lifted their spirits. That's what I would hope. That's what I would hope. Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question.
Nice. I do have a story kind of in related relation to that too. When I was in fourth grade, I was part of a situation where um, my family was out to eat at this local restaurant near our house, and then uh, all of a sudden, like a bunch of SWAT officers came in, and everybody that was there had to. We all had to hunker down for like 5 or 6 hours because there was a guy that killed somebody and crashed his car outside the restaurant and was trying to get in. And we all got escorted to our cars like individually, and then um, at that same time was when I like before that happened, I was already consuming the Dot Hack games and Gatekeepers, the anime, and so I just wanted to thank you for being part of that, both of those things.
Oh, Chris. So it did help you get through that incident and what you had to experience.
Yeah,
Wow.
especially as a 8 or 9 year old.
Yeah. So, good Lord. And in playing the game, you kind of got through all of the stages that when you play a game, you finished playing the game, you won or you win or you is that you're that proficient at it that you always completed the games that you played?
Well, I think it was well in that situation. Well, yes, but like in that situation, with how young I was, it was just like the only outlet I had to escape from that situation
Yeah.
afterward, and like hearing all your guys' voices. So
That's so great. We are so clueless. I'm pretty sure everybody's clueless to that, it's really remarkable. Yeah, I mean, I guess it would be comparable to somebody who hears a musician or a singer and how the music moves them. I think it's in that same feel where whatever it is that's moving you. Yeah, I couldn't ask for a better legacy than that. My gosh, that's very nice. Thank you. Yeah,
yeah,
very
thanks for willing to talk today.
my pleasure. Obviously, I feel very happy. Yeah, see, I make myself filled with joy and laughter. No, but you did, Chris. You did it. So it's reciprocal,
Thank you.
made me feel very good to and proud to be the talent that I am, but also the person and to be able to share this. It's fabulous. And I thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I'll be sure to send this to you once I have it up as well.
Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have fun with your other interviews that you have. You have all kinds
Thank
of
you.
people lined up? Do you have people lined up?
Um, I mean, it doesn't take me very long at this point usually, but I never really know who the
Yeah.
next person will be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, you're very good at it. So thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. Have a
All
good
right.
rest of your day
Okay. Bye.
then. Bye.